This conference
Yeah.
will now be recorded.
Just, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, super. Guys, please try to join on time. I see many are still missing in the session, despite we are already late by 5 minutes. Now, anybody has any questions on any of the completed topics about operators, access groups, roles, role to objects, privileges, portals, rule set? Any questions so far?
I have little bit unclarity regarding the access win
Mm-hmm.
topic. Um, if that is going to be used in the ARO, then how we are going to put the specify the numbers?
No, in access when you do not specify the numbers. You just, I remember, just a second, let me cross check. I'm not recollecting it. It's just a when rule, so it doesn't have any numbers.
Okay. And when we are using it in ARO, then how in the ARO we are going to specify the number?
No, you don't specify the numbers, that's what I'm saying. In ARO, you specify the numbers, right? In role to objects, you specify the numbers. Here, you do not specify the numbers. You just only put the conditions like, this has to match. Only then the data is visible to him, otherwise, not visible.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we'll do a quick recap and we'll start with the new topics. So, first, we started with operator ID concept. Operator ID is nothing but a username and a password and an account that you create in Pega for a new user. So if I have to access any website, first I need to create an account for myself. Then I will log in with the username and password. Same is the concept in Pega. Creating an account in Pega is nothing but creating an operator ID. So this operator ID information is stored in a table called as PR underscore operators, which is very important to remember. PR underscore operators is the table where we store the info. Okay. And in the operator IDs table, we have a lot of columns which start with PX, PY, and PZ. Among that, PZPV stream is an important column that you need to remember. PZPV stream holds the entire record of data in the blob format. Blob means binary format, binary large object. Means in the form of zeros and ones they store the data, which is non-readable format for you. Okay. So this is important column to remember because every Pega table will have a blob column. Now, inside the operator ID, the most important thing that you give is access groups. And they also ask you what are the mandatory fields in the operator ID. The mandatory fields are full name, access group, organization division unit, and the password. These are the mandatory fields for an operator ID. The most important thing is access group because it defines what is the level of access you have over an application or how many applications you can access. So if we will mention the access group, it grants you access to that application. Now what is present inside the access group? We have the application name, the portals, and the roles. So application name you can give only one. Multiple cannot be given. If you want to give multiple applications, give multiple access groups. Okay. Adding multiple applications here is not possible. Remember this because they ask you in the interviews. Multiple portals you give, whichever you select by default is a default portal. Similarly, whichever application you select by default is a default application, you have to give it. Okay. Now, the next interview question that you keep encountering is, how can you create bulk operators in Pega? I have shown you we have an activity create operator. By running it, you can do it. Or you can upload a Excel sheet, call that activity, process the data, and create it. Inserting records directly into the DB is not a right choice. As PZPV stream is a blob column, you cannot insert data into that. So we have to do it from Pega only. Okay. Then we started learning about authorizations, which is roles, role to objects, and privileges. Role, basically like a flag variable, you use it to control the access, like to make it read only, to make it visible, kind of things we use like a flag variable. You write down a condition. If operator has this role, make it visible, else not visible, like that. Role to object, environment level control. You give the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 means any experimental, means any POCs where you can do that one. 2 is development, 3 is QA, 4 UAT, 5 production. Means, can this user run the rules in production, in UAT, in QA? Can this user create work objects in this? So you do environment wise control using roles. And when you create a role, you have to even mention the class. So for which class you are controlling the access, like this. You have to mention the class. I'm controlling access group class. I'm controlling operator ID class. So you have to mention that class and environment. Now once you open role to object, if you scroll down in role to object, you will see privileges. Privilege is a rule level control. Like a particular activity, create operator should not be accessible for all the users. So you give a privilege in the activity security tab. Or a particular screen should not be visible for everyone. So you give a privilege in the flow action or flow action security tab. So like that we control access to a particular rule by giving privileges. Okay. So this is what we have discussed in the last session, and we have just touched applications and rule sets. So this is an application in Pega. Application means just a project. Okay. So what is a project? Project means all the rules that you create made up of what is called as a project, right? So I'm a developer in this project. I have created 100 rules. So all these 100 rules is what my project is made up of. Similarly in Pega, application is nothing but collection of rules. Okay, then where are my rules here? See, rules we did not keep them directly. We kept them like subfolders. So we have something called as rule sets. Okay. So why didn't you keep the rules directly? Why again you need a rules? Just for better maintenance, guys. Suppose let's say for example, I have a folder called as Pega material. This is my application. Let's assume this is my application. Now inside this application, did I put all my content directly? No. I again created some subfolders, demo, PDFs, PPTs, practical screenshots. I created some subfolders. Inside that I have the content. So these are like rule sets, and this is like application. So application is made up of rule sets. Inside the rule set, what do you have? Rules. So the same way Pega does. They don't dump all the rules like that. They try to, uh, you know, categorize it. They try to organize it in a better way. So they will create one rule set for all the business rules, one rule sets for all the integrations, one rule set for some XYZ stuff. So like this, they create multiple rule sets just to categorize the content so that it becomes easy for you when you refer to them or when we use them. It becomes easy, right? See, if I dumped all the content outside, like, it would be difficult for me to refer, right? I categorize just for easy maintenance. Same way, in real time we categorize them for easy maintenance. So we create a lot of rule sets like this. Excuse me. Okay. So we create a lot of rule sets like this, and we put rules inside them. So it becomes easy for me to organize it, better maintenance. Now, who will create operator IDs and access groups? Any person with administrator privileges can create operator IDs and access groups. Now, who will create rule sets and who will create a new application? This is generally done by the senior most person in the team. Okay, juniors are not generally supposed to create rule sets, update the application. All that is not done by the juniors. Okay, seniors in the project will decide how many rule sets we need, and all that seniors will be deciding it. Okay, so generally LSA, lead system architect, or a senior most person in the team will decide how many rule sets we need. Generally in each project we will have minimum 6 to 8 rule sets, and it may increase. Okay, but this is Pega's OTV application, so you have more than 50 rule sets. Okay, that is not the case in our real-time projects. In our real-time projects we generally have 6 to 8 or maximum 10 we'll have rule sets. Okay, so this is how we put the rule sets. Now what is present inside the rule set? I told you it's just a collection of rules, nothing. See, in this particular rule set I have 67 rules. Pick any other rule set. In this I have 9450 rules. So like that every rule set is just a collection of rules. Okay, like a folder having subfolder and a subfolder having the documents inside it. The same way we do it in Pega. Any questions so far? Perfect. Now let me move to my application and show you the rule sets. Mm, one second. Okay, I am just going to my application. If you want to open the application, please go from the top. Okay, and say definition. No need to go to your access group and open the application like this. Not necessary. Okay, you can directly open an application from the top and say definition. Application definition. Okay, now if you go here, you can see all the rule sets. You can see these are my application rule sets. This is the POC done by the last batch. Okay, so these are my application rule sets, and every rule set, of course, it is going to have some rules like this. Okay, now in the beginning of the project itself, we will decide some rule sets and we will create them. Later on, as the project keeps progressing, if we need a new rule set, then the senior most people in the team will be creating a rule set and they will add it here. Please remember, whenever you create a new rule set, you have to add it here. If you don't add it, then it is not a part of your project. The code that you have written in that rule set will not execute. Suppose I created a new document, okay, like this, maybe I created something. I didn't keep it inside the folder, then it is not a part of my Pega material, right? The same way, if you create a new rule set and you just leave it like an orphan like that without adding it to your application stack, then it is not a part of your application. The code which is written inside that will not be executing at runtime, and you will break your head thinking why it is not working. The reason is simple, you didn't add it in the application stack. you should and must add it here. Only then it becomes a part of your family or part of your application. Otherwise, it is not. Okay, that is one thing you should remember when you're working in real time. Second thing, where should I add it? Okay, can I go and add it here? Can I go to add it here? Or can I go and add it at the top? You can add it anywhere you wish. Okay, so you can even move it up and down like this. So, what place to add depends upon why this rule set is created and who is its parents and who are its children. See, whenever we create a new rule set in Pega, okay, you need to add it here. Now, while adding it, you need to understand that this particular number, this particular sequence is very important. It's not just a random sequential number. No, 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 no. This is very important. This defines the stack, the parent, the child relationship between the rule sets is defined here. The one at the top is a child, the one at the bottom is a parent, which means suppose I have login screen here. Okay, in this rule set I have created login screen. Now from here you can reuse that, from here you can reuse it, from here you can reuse it, from here you can call it or reuse it. So all of these are children's to this. So all these rule sets can reuse the code or trigger the code which is there in this. So the bottommost ones are the parents, topmost ones are the child or children rule sets. So there is inheritance between them. Just like in real time, I can inherit my parents' property, right? I can reuse my parents' property. I can claim my parents' property. The same way, all these are child rule sets. They can reuse the content of the parent rule set. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 can reuse the content of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 can reuse the content of 7 and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4 can reuse the content of 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2 can reuse the content of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, like this, 1 at the top can reuse the content of every single rule set which is below it. Okay, so the sequence does matter. So, that is the reason only the senior most people in the team will be creating rule sets and adding them to the stack because they have an idea where does it fit in the stack, at the top or at the bottom, in between, where exactly it fits, they will have an idea. Okay, so the rule set stack is very important and an interview question as well. Can you explain me about the application rule set stack? You need to tell them that the rule sets which are placed at the bottom are considered as parents and the one at the top are considered as child. And child rule sets can always reuse the content of the parent rule sets. And it is always possible to move a rule set up and down and add anything in between. Anybody has any questions so far?
Yeah,
Okay.
so can
Mm.
we move child means we can move like 7 to 6 or 6 to 7, we
Like
can't, right?
this. As you see, I'm moving it, right? I can
Okay.
move it. But whenever you move, remember that the inheritance is going to change.
Okay.
Okay, so rule set stack or the application stack is a very important interview question to remember. So please remember this.
And Nikhila, how to identify that which is the parent, which is the child in this game?
Only after you get certain experience, you will get to know that, not right away now. As you're working on the project and you introduce a new rule set, you will have an idea, right? What rules we are going to reuse and what rules no you're going to consume. Based on that, you will decide.
Okay.
Now, let's open a rule set. Yes, somebody has a question.
Nikhila, are there any predefined rule sets?
There are. So, this is your application. Okay. Please go on mute. So this is your application, and you can see these are your rule sets. Now, are there any built-in rule sets that we are using? We are using, but where are you using? Do you see this? Your application has some built-on applications. Okay, means my application is built on Pega, right? So you have a built-on application which is theme Cosmos. What is this theme Cosmos? My application is built on Pega. Means Pega rules process commander should be there. Why theme Cosmos is there? Theme Cosmos is nothing but a UI kit. UI kit means the look and feel, the font, everything about the look and feel of the application is defined in the theme Cosmos. So we have various UI kits in Pega actually. See, theme Cosmos, UI kit, and now we have this constellation in the latest versions, Cosmos React. All these are actually UI kits. Depending upon which UI kit you use, the color, the font, the portal look and feels, everything will be changing. Okay. So the old one means the one that we had in Pega 4, 5, 6, 7 versions was UI kit. Okay. So then when you log in into Pega, the look and feel, everything would be different. After that, in Pega 8, they came up with Theme Cosmos. Okay. In Pega 8 only, they even started using Cosmos React. But Cosmos React doesn't work in personal editions. Now, starting from Pega 23 and 24, they got this one, which is Constellation. Okay. It is just like the look and feel of the application is all defined in this UI kit. Okay. So we'll talk about Constellation and the comparison between all these things in the later sessions. Today's focus is only on application rule sets, version, their locking, and those concepts. So I will not dive deep much into Cosmos and Constellation today. Okay. So this is theme Cosmos. Again, you can say this is built on Pega, the core Pega software. Okay. So you can say this is a OOTB rule set, not my rule set. If you get inside this, you can see all the OOTB rule sets like this. Okay. So you are reusing all these rule sets. So my application will use the rule sets of theme Cosmos and also of Pega rules. And in real time, you will have multiple built-on applications. Depending upon your project, you can have multiple built-on applications of your own. Okay.
What's the difference between Themes Cosmos and UI Kit,
I
Nikhila?
just now told you, right? Theme Cosmos, UI Kit, Constellation. We'll talk in the later session. Today's focus is only on rule sets, rule set versioning, okay, locking, and all those things. We'll come back to that again.
Okay.
Now, where can I see
Nikhila,
all the? One second. Where can I see all the rule sets? And their hierarchy in my application. See, instead of you opening all the dependent applications like this and checking all the dependent rule sets, there's a pretty easy way to check the things. Just go here and say profile, not operator. Okay, I said profile. When you click on profile, you get to know. See, what's your name, what's your email ID, XYZ stuff. Apart from the most important thing that you see is the rule set stack. Okay, this is important. So this is how the rules are picked at runtime when you log in. So first they will consider the rules of this rule set, and then its parents, its parents, its parents, and so on and on. You can see theme Cosmos, and then you can see all Pega's rule sets like this. So this is the stack. Okay, this one you should consider. This one. Okay, this is the sequence in which my rules will be triggered. So this is like a at a glance you can understand what is the sequence of your rule sets. Okay. Anybody has any questions?
Nikhila, what if somebody like by mistakenly delete the rule set? Should we remember all the rule sets or
No,
how?
it is
It,
generally people will not be given access to delete rule sets or create rule sets or update the application rule form. Okay,
Okay.
the same way we will remove the privileges for them to do such things.
Okay.
Only a person with administrator privileges and certain privileges will be able to do. Okay, and just
Thank
in
you.
case by mistake if you delete something, there is always a way to restore it. So you can always go to configure, application, development, developer activity. There's a way to look at the deleted stuff and restore them. Just go to recent actions. You can see view deleted rules. So whatever you deleted will be found here. You can just click on it and you'll find an option like restore. Maybe I have restored it, or maybe it's not a rule. Mm, why is it? One second. You can see restore. Okay, so whatever you deleted, you'll find a restore option like this, and you can restore it. Maybe I did not click on the right option earlier, so I didn't find restore. You need to click on the rule name. Okay, yeah, this is already restored or something. You need to click on the rule name, then you'll be able to restore them. Whatever it is, whatever you have deleted, you can restore it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nikhila, when you say that a child rule set can reuse items from the parent rule sets, is the reverse possible?
No, not possible.
So, for example, if I have a data transform
Uh,
using a
See,
when rule.
inheritance vice versa is not possible, just like in real time. You inherit your parents' property, your parents do not inherit your property. Same way, child can only reuse the content of the parent. Parent can never reuse or call or trigger the content of the child. It is not possible.
Okay,
Um,
so means these claims cannot reuse the items from the claims broad rules, right?
right, right, it is not
Okay.
possible. And Ankita, answering to your question, no, they are not necessary to be in the same rule set. That's what I'm saying. Code in claims rule set can reuse the code of any of these rule sets. Claims in HDFC Finance can reuse the code of any of these rule sets. Okay. So we can reuse the code in other rule sets depending upon the stack arrangement here.
Nikhila, are there any difference between implementation and frameworks in
We are yet
application
to
structure?
talk. We are yet to talk about it, right? I didn't start enterprise class structure yet. I didn't understand why you're asking now. Okay. Now let's only ask questions related to the current topic, guys. I'll go to those topics in the later sessions. Okay. Now, so we have come to rule set. And when you open a rule set, the first thing that you see is application validation and rule set validation. This was an important interview question till PEGA 8. Now, once you move to PEGA 24, I don't think people will ask you this question any longer because this is a deprecated feature. Now, what is application validation and what is rule set validation? Application validation means you have to mention the rule sets in a sequence in the application rule form, and the one at the top is a child and the one at the bottom is a parent, and child can reuse the content of the parent. So there is inheritance. This is application validation. Now what is rule set validation? Till PEGA 7, okay, we didn't have this concept. Okay, this is child, this is parent, inheritance, all that was not there in PEGA 7. So in PEGA 7, how I used to mention that, these are my parent rule sets, how should I mention that? So in PEGA 7, what we used to do is in every rule set, okay, we will have multiple versions like this. For every version, we used to mention these are my parent rule sets. Like this, we used to add as many as you want, we have to add here. For every single version, we used to add like this. Now, you need to understand what is the version, only then you will understand more into this concept. First, let's talk about versions in Pega. Whether you take Pega or you take Java or .NET or SAP, whichever coding languages you take or coding tools you take, Okay, there is something called as version controlling. What is version controlling? Version controlling means whenever we build an application, we release them in multiple versions. Okay, we don't build the entire application one single day and we give it to you, right? Let's say I'm building WhatsApp. WhatsApp initially we launch it where you can just only send text messages to each other. That is version 1. Now so on and so on days passed. Version 2 came into the picture where you can even send images. Okay. So on and on days passed. Version 3 came into the picture where you can even send videos, voice messages, some gifs, some stickers you can send. So on and on. Version 5 came into the picture where you can even do a video call to each other, and so on and on. WhatsApp upgraded, and now okay, you can put some status, and so on and on. Upgraded, now you can do something else. You can do UPI payments through WhatsApp. So day by day the application is improving, and new versions of WhatsApp is coming into the picture, right? Similarly, in real time, when we build a project, we don't build everything in one go. We build it in multiple versions, right? So every rule set will have multiple versions in Pega. Okay. So why do you need these versions? The reason is, so today I'm building version 1. Okay. In version 1 I have built just a login screen. Okay, where there is just username and password and done. Now version 2 we have launched where we have given some home screens. Okay. Some screen for history, some screen for password change. We have launched all this. Now then we came up with version 3. Okay, maybe in version 3 some XYZ stuff we have added, some add to cart functionality, XYZ we added. So like this, day by day, the application keeps enhancing, and new versions keep it to the come into the picture. Now you might have a question, what is the reason to have versions? Why can't we build everything in the same version? Why should I create version 1, version 2, version 3? Anybody has an idea why we maintaining multiple versions all at one go? What is the necessity to maintain multiple versions like this?
Easy to handle the fix. Suppose if we get that fix right,
Is it to handle? Okay. Anybody
easy
else?
to.
Any other others?
uh, to understand the user journey or user need that requirement or not. It's more related to product.
So if it's in the same version, can't understand that.
uh, it's not like that, but to understand the customer's experience or something.
Hmm. Any other answers, guys?
We
It
can
is
identify the
Something goes
easy to
wrong,
issues
then
notice.
find
It
out.
is easy to notice the features which we add to the code.
We're fixing
In
bugs and
which?
all. Like,
if something
Hmm.
goes wrong, then we can always go back to at least the most stable version. At least the user will get
Exactly
to see
right.
something.
This is the exact answer, right, Devshri? This is the answer, guys. See, the reason that we maintain versions is just in case if something goes wrong, can I uninstall it and go back to the most stable version of the application and use it? Right, yes. Suppose I bought a new laptop, okay? It was on Windows 10. And they said, hey, Pega cannot be installed on Windows 10. You have to go with Windows 11. Just for example, I'm saying, okay? So I went to an IT technician and I said, can you please, put Windows 11 in my laptop and remove 10? He has done it. Now I came back. Let's assume that even MS Office is not working. The bare minimum features of my laptop are even not working. And what I was told is, sorry, Nikhila, this laptop configuration doesn't support Windows 11. What will I do? I'll go back to Windows 10. So why did Windows maintain so many versions, Windows 7, Windows 8, 10, 11, so on? So that you can always have some backup. If I can't work with 11, I can go back to 10. If I can't work with 10, I'll go back to 8 or 7 or something. The reason is you have a backup copy of the code. Okay? You have some stable version to switch back and use it. Right? The same way with WhatsApp. In my phone, I have installed the latest WhatsApp version. Maybe my phone is not that good. It wasn't able to support it. Even to open a WhatsApp, it is taking me a lot of time. So what will I do? I'll just switch back to the old version of WhatsApp. Or let's say the WhatsApp has come up with a new feature, and suddenly all the users are facing issue. Nobody is able to even send a message or make a call. The app itself is crashing a lot of times. So what WhatsApp team will do? Guys, let's switch back to the old version of the code, because all the users are getting impacted. They are not even able to use the WhatsApp application. So they'll switch back to the old version of the code. So the reason we maintain versions is to have a backup copy, or to have some stable version of the application where I can switch back, or it is just like a restore point. Okay, if I want to move back, I can move back. That is the reason we maintain versions. Okay, so like this, whenever we build an application in Pega, we keep on creating versions like this. It's one, it's two, and then the third one, and so on and so on. Every rule set is going to have versions. Every rule set will have versions like this, and in each version you'll put some piece of code. Okay, let's say for example in version 1 login screen was kept. I need not put login screen again in version 2. No, not needed. It will be there in version 1 only. Again in version 4, okay, they wanted to update login screen. Okay, they wanted to put some background image. Okay, and they want to change the button colors, they want to change the font, they want to put some captcha, some OTP. Okay, so in version 4 I kept it. So every time you create a new version, we don't bring the old code and keep it in the new version. No, no, no. Old code remains in the old versions only. If you want to update it, if you want to change something in it, then you bring it to the new version and you keep it. Otherwise it will stay in the old version. Now, will Pega call the code from the old versions? Yes. Whenever Pega is calling to pick a rule, Pega is trying to pick a rule, Pega will check in which all versions this rule is there. Suppose login screen is there in version 1 and version 4. Which is highest? 4 is highest. So Pega will execute this. Now add to cart. Let's assume that add to cart is there in 03 version and 05 version. Now Pega will check in which all versions it is there, 3 and 5, which is highest 5. So 5 will be executed. Like that, for every single rule, Pega will check which is the highest version, consider it and execute it. Okay. So you as a developer, when you create new versions, it's not required for you to bring all the old code and keep it in the new versions. No, 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 no. Either you create a new code in the new version, or save as the old code into new version and update it. That's it. So whatever new changes you have, only that you will keep in the new version. And Pega knows, what is the highest version of each rule, and it will pick it accordingly. So like this, we keep creating versions in real time. Any questions so far?
So if we select rule set validation as a validation mode, so there is no concept of inheritance, right?
No, there is inheritance, but if you select application validation, simply here you will tell us, what inheritance. If you select rule set validation, the problem is single version you have to tell who are your parents. For 01 who is the parent, for 02 who is, every time you have to mention that, which is not only for one single rule set, for all the rule sets, for all the versions I have to do it. And that is how we used to do it in Pega 7, which was difficult. Right? So that is the reason Pega came up with application value. Simply in one go, you can tell inheritance between the rule sets.
Okay, thank
Okay. Now, why is my versioning not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And why do you have 01 hyphen 01 hyphen 01 01 hyphen 01 hyphen 02 and so on? There is a reason. Okay. In real time, when we upgrade the code, the upgrade can be of different reasons. Okay, it can be a major upgrade, it can be a minor upgrade, it can be a patch. So we want to distinguish this. Major means example, okay, not always. Example, okay, like PEGA version upgrade we are doing. You're moving from PEGA 7 to PEGA 8 or PEGA 8 to PEGA 23 or 24, then major versions will change. Means the first number will change. Suppose this is your sorry, okay. Suppose the old version is 01 hyphen 01 hyphen 01. Now the new version will be 02 hyphen 01 hyphen 01. First number will change. Okay. First number is called as major version. Middle number is called as minor version. Last number is called as patch version. Okay. This is how it is. NN hyphen NN hyphen NN. Major version hyphen minor version hyphen patch version. Major means like this. So whenever there is a drastic change in the application or the PEGA version itself is upgrading, only then we will touch the first numbers. Otherwise, generally we don't touch the first number. Only then we will increase the first number. How about minor version? So minor functionality changes. We upgrade the minor version. Suppose if the old version is 01 hyphen 01 hyphen 01, center number you have to increase, not the first one. Center one you have to increase. This is minor upgrade. Patch upgrade is small defects, small enhancements. Okay, we upgrade patches. New one will be the last number has to increase like this. Now this is only from theory point of view. In real time, what is happening is we are actually using agile methodology and Scrum, right? So generally, what we do is my initial code will be in 010101. Suppose I created like 10 rules in this. Okay. Now I got a new requirement. I have to, okay. I got some new requirement and I have to update it. So 01, 01, 02 I'm creating, and like so I'm creating only two rules in this. This number is being confusion, so I'm writing it in text. Two rules I have created. Okay. Now again I got a new enhancement. I created the next version 03 and I kept, okay, 5 rules in this. So like this, in real time we are generally increasing the patch versions only. And when are we increasing minors and majors? So until when you will go? We will go till 99. After 99, what should I do then? Where should I put my rules? There's no choice, right? So after 99, you have to increase the minor and start from 1 again. So 0 to 1, 0 to. So like this, we keep increasing. And till what? Till 99 again, of course. After that, what do you do? Increase it to 3 and start with 1 again. Till where? 99. So like this, we are increasing in real time and we are working on the code. Okay. Then when is your major changing in real time? When my application itself, upgrades, then we are changing the majors from PEGA 8 to 23 or 24 we are upgrading. Then we are changing the majors. Otherwise, generally, this is how we are increasing the versions in real time. Now, the next question comes is, Nikhila, when to change the version? How will I know I should change the version now? Right? How will I know that I should change the version now? Generally, how we work is in real time. Okay, suppose developer 1. Okay, we'll take all this. Okay, Nikhila is building login screen. Okay, and let's say Devshri is building registration screen. Okay, so what we'll do is Nikhila will take 010101 version and he will put all the login screen code here. Okay. Oh, I think first registration, right? Okay, let's put registration code here. Okay. And what Nikhila will do is she will take 02, okay, and put the login screen code here. Okay. Now let's say some other person is building that, captcha OTP validation thing. OTP and captcha validation. Some other person is building it. This guy will use 03 version. So what we are doing in real time in certain projects is every person is taking a new version. Okay, every person is taking a new version. Now another person is working on this add to cart functionality. So he has taken this version. Okay, like this we are taking in some projects. Whereas in some projects, what they do is all these four people will work in 01 only. Okay, and once they build the entire functionality, okay, they will push it to QA, then they'll push it to UAT, then they'll push it to production. Now they will take 02. All of them will work in 02 only. Then once the entire thing is completed, they push it to QA, UAT, production, and they will take 03. Then all of them will work in 03 only. So like this they are doing. So depending upon the project, okay, each person is following a different standard. Okay. According to me, taking like this is the best one. Because let's say for example, after deploying the code, they got to know that there is some issue with add to cart functionality. Okay. Now I can simply roll back this rule set and the rest can work as expected. Right? Whereas if you build everything in the same rule set, what will happen? Everything you have to roll back, which is not a good idea, right? So that is the reason we prefer to put it in different rule set so that if something goes wrong, that piece of code you can roll back and the rest will remain as it is. So like this in real time, for every story means requirement, okay? Because we call them as stories in real time. For every story, we are picking a new rule set version. Okay. For registration screen, I will get a story. Okay. For login screen, I'll get a story. So for every story, we create a new rule set version and we develop the code. After the code development is completed, we push it to QA, UAT, and production, and we take the next highest version and we start coding. Any questions so far on major, minor patch versions or this one? Okay. Now, can add to cart functionality reuse the code of OTP and captcha validation? Yes. Can add to cart use the code of login screen? Yes. Can add to cart use registration? Yes. The highest versions are like the child. They can reuse the code of the parents always. Okay. Whereas vice versa is not possible. 01 cannot use the code of 234. 2 cannot use 34. 3 cannot use 4. Whereas 4 can use 3 to 1, 3 can use 2 1, 2 can use 1. The topmost ones are children. Okay, they can reuse the code of the parents. Okay, so this is major version, this is minor version and patch version. And real time, mostly we keep increasing only the patch versions and we keep adding the rules. And each person will take a new version and they will put their code in that. Okay, and in certain projects the entire team is taking one version and doing coding and then deploying, which is not a good approach according to me, because if something goes wrong I have to roll back the whole version and everybody's story will be rolled back. Instead, if you put it in different versions, only your story you can roll back if there is an issue. Okay, so prefer to put it in multiple versions than a single version. Now, what is this lock icon here? So generally after doing the coding, if you think, yeah, my code is working good, I'm ready to push it to QA for testing, then you better lock the code. Why should I lock the code? It is just like, why should I lock my flat when I step out to office? If I don't lock my flat, any stranger can come in, pick my things, damage my things, steal my things, do anything, right? Same way, if you do not lock your code, anybody can open the rules in that. Okay, there are this many rules are created in this. Say they can open the rule in it, they can update the rules, they can delete the rules, they can mess up with the rules, they can do anything with the rules. So whatever code was working till yesterday, today it will not work just because somebody has messed up with that. So if you think the code is working as expected, we prefer to lock it so that nobody can touch it or make any changes to it. So how do you lock it? If you click on the expand icon, you have an option to give lock. There is a checkout record. Checkout record means still work is in progress. When the work is in progress, you can't lock it. Checkouts and check-ins we'll talk later. Like this, you have to give a password. Now, what password I can give? Any password of your choice you can give to lock a rule set. But when you work in real time, every team follows a standard. So please check with your team what password do you give. Some people will give the story number. Some people will give some generic word like rules, install, some generic words they give. Some people will give the version name. Some people will give the rule set name. Different people have different styles. So check with your team what password they follow, and you have to give the password and you have to lock it. Suppose I gave my password like this. Now you can see it is locked. Locked means nobody can create rules in this version, nobody can delete rules from this version, nobody can update rules in this version. Okay, that is locked. Means now my code is safe, nobody can touch it. See, this is claims prod rules, right? Suppose I'm trying to create a new rule. Okay, I'm trying to create a new rule in Pega. For the sheet claim request. Okay, I'm just taking this rule set claims prod. Okay, you see 01 is coming, but 02 is not coming. Why is 02 not coming? Because I have locked it. Okay, so if you lock a rule set, they will not be available for the people to create new rules in them or update them or delete them is not possible. Okay. Any questions so far? Just give me a second. I'll be back. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm back. So just a quick recap. So application in Pega is nothing but just a collection of rule sets. And rule set is nothing but a collection of rules. And in rule set, again, we'll put the rules in versions so that we have a backup copy or a restore point or a stable application point. Now, when do you create versions? Generally, for every new story or a new requirement or a new defect, we create a version. And after creating the rules and after testing it, if you think it is working fine, we have to log them so that nobody else can mess up with the rules. Okay, that is locking and unlocking. If you want to unlock, you can unlock it, but generally in real time, we do not suggest you to unlock. Once the code is logged and deployed, please don't unlock it. Okay, that is not a best practice. You should not unlock it. You should create the next version and start working on them. Okay, now, so how do you decide which version a person should take? Sometimes, it also depends upon which code is going to production first. I mean, let's say, for example, registration screen, they are planning it for, let's say, for example, they are planning it for March release. March release means in March, registration code should be given to the end users. Okay. In March, this code should be, like Feb end or mid of March, it should be done. And by March end, we want to give it to the end users. So this is March release. Let's say this is for also, let's say this is for April release. Okay. And this is for again March release. Okay, and this is again for April release. Okay, we should never take a version which is going later. Okay, so suppose March is going first, right? So March should take 01. Now next, this is also for March. Then you should take 02. You should not take 03. Okay, first 01 should go, then 02 should go, then 03, and then 04. Now what will happen? In March release, they will push 01, which is registration code, and they will push 03, which has OTP and captcha validation code, which is wrong because after 03, 02 will go, which is not right. Okay, you should never deploy code in this sequence. After 1, 2 should go, after 2, 3 should go, after 3, 4 should go. First 1 and 3 went, then 2 is getting deployed. This is not the right way to develop. Okay, so you should never do like this. So you should sit with the team and you should decide, okay, you are working for March release, you please take 02, I will take 03. Swap it and you have to work like that. You should never take the later versions in the initial releases. Should never work like that. Okay, should follow a sequence. Okay, any questions on application of rule set validation or rule set locking?
Clear.
Okay, so lovely. Did you understand? Do you have any questions? Lovely. Are you in the session? Meghna, do you have any questions? Meghna, are you speaking? Somehow I can't hear you.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah, you're
Oh no,
audible.
sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
understand.
Okay. Meghna, did you connect from two different sessions? I see your name repeating twice in a session. Please try to connect only from one session. Don't connect from multiple systems. Okay. So this is how we do it. Okay. We just create rule sets, we create versions, we dump code inside it, and just a second. Okay. Now, what is the next thing? Let me. Okay. So every time, this is the example I have given you. I have a flow registration. We have a new requirement to update the flow, or we have a defect fix. We just keep on creating new versions and we do it. And the main use of a rule set is just to have a backup copy of the code. I mean, like rule set version is to have a backup copy or restore point. And talking about major, minor, and patch versions. Okay, this is how it works. And Pega always picks the highest copy of each rule. Okay, a rule can lie in multiple versions, but Pega only picks the highest copy of that rule. Pega will not consider the lower copy of that rule. Okay, they only consider the highest copy. Rule set locking, we just spoke about it. Rule set validation, which is a very important interview question. Okay, and nobody using rule set validation nowadays. This option, it is deprecated. Okay, just for backward compatibility they have given it. Everybody who is building their project from Pega 8 onwards should use application validation only. You should never use rule set validation. Okay, now, so we are done with this, right? Rule set validation and this one. Mm, Please take a break for 10 minutes, guys. We'll resume and we'll start with a new topic. It's 8:06 now. Let's connect back again at 8:15. Okay, and we'll start with something new. I'll be on mute and I'll pause my screen.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I'm back. Let's resume sharing my screen. So, in the same concept, we have to discuss about this as well. Did you see this, guys? In the application stack, when I'm mentioning my rule sets, I'm also mentioning my versions. Okay, we just didn't leave it like this by giving the rule set name. We are also mentioning the rule sets. Okay, versions. Now, when I mention the version, I'm giving the major, I'm giving the minor, but you see nowhere the patch is mentioned. Do you see this? The patch is not mentioned here. Why is it not mentioned? It's good to know from interview point of view as well. Why do you not mention the patch here? You can mention it, okay? There is no restriction. You can mention. 100% you can mention it. But why are we not mentioning? See, what happens is, suppose I created this rule set, okay, which, where is it? Let's take this rule set. Okay. Now I kept 25 rules in 010101. The coding is completed. I'm going to lock it. After locking it, I'll create 02. Now when you create 02, please remember that you have to come and update it here. If you don't update it, then it is not a part of your application. Then the code in 02 will not be triggered. Again, you'll be breaking your head thinking, why is the code not getting triggered? Although I have done everything perfect. Reason is, whatever you mention in the application rule form, only those will be considered. Only those rule sets and those versions will be considered. Okay. Now because I did not mention 02 here, the code in 02 will not be triggered. So I have to give 02. Now after few days, one of my colleague has introduced 03. He has to come and update it. Somebody has introduced 04. They have to come and update it. So like this, every time you create a new patch version, you have to come and update it, which is tedious, right? Sometimes you may forget to update it, then this code will not be picked and it will not be working. So in order to get rid of that, what Pega does is, Pega says you can leave this version empty. If you leave it empty till 99, so 0101 till 99, all the rules will be considered. Okay. So after 99, you will go to 02, right? You will go to 02, right? Then again you have to come and update it. So 02 you come and update it. Means 02 till 99 all the rules are considered. Now after 02 you'll go for 03, right? You have to come and update it. So once in a while you need to update like that. If you give patches for every single story you have to update, and if you forget it, then that is a problem. Okay. So that is the reason we do not give patch versions here. If you give it for every single story you have to come and update it. Otherwise it is not considered as a part of your application. Any questions so far? If no questions, just good to know. Okay, not a part of the interview. We are not using so much in real time, but just good to know. They may ask you or like what are the types of applications we have in Pega. Okay, general applications and the like built-on applications, and the other one is components. Okay, just good to know, guys. Okay, it is not required for you from either interview point of view or in day-to-day life. We are not working too much with this. Okay, just a good to know thing I want to teach you because you should be aware like what is a component in Pega. So what is a component? Built on applications means you saw right just and one application built on top of another application. Okay, like this we have like let's say for example for Instagram, let's assume okay for Instagram Facebook can be a built on application just for example. Okay, so like that you can have some built on application then you can reuse the code from there. Now what is a component? So component means suppose I have built a new feature. Okay, that is I have built a feature called as credit score. For this feature, people from TCS can submit all their employee data. Okay, I will calculate all the details and I'll return back the credit score. People from CTS can submit all the employee data. I'll calculate all the variables and I'll give them the credit score. Now, people from Wipro can submit all their employee data. I can calculate everything and give them the credit score. So, I have built some standalone functionality. Okay, anybody from any company can submit the data. I'll give them the output. So that's a standalone functionality. Anybody can use it. Any project can use it. Any company can use it. So when you build something standalone like that, and anybody can plug and play, okay. So such thing was called as components in Pega. Okay. So in order to use a component, you can just click on Manage Components and say Browse. Okay. When you say Browse, you can see all these are components which are built by different companies. This is built by Pega themselves. This is by LTI Mindtree. This is by Evoke Technologies. Okay. This is by Eridian. This is by Blue Rose. Okay. This is by Emphasis. Like this components means like this you can see 44 and more pages are there. Components means just some reusable functionality you can build it and you can submit to Pega systems and they will verify it and they'll publish it here. Now anybody can use it. You can just download it. If you want to use it, just click on that. Okay. You have an option to download here. Where is that option? Hmm, Somewhere here you'll find an option. Anyways, you'll find an option to download. Just explore it later. You'll find an option to download it. Just download it. And after downloading it, you can add it here. You can import and you can add it here. Install you and you can add it here. Okay. So generally that is what a component is. Component means just some reusable functionality. Anybody can plug and play and use it. So they provide it and you can use it. Suppose you want to build a new component and you want to publish it on Pega site, you can build components from here. Hmm, sorry, here. Okay, just a good to know. Okay, no need to dive deep into that or explore more about this. Just telling you this is how the components exist. That is like plug and play. You use it, you just install it, use it, and leave it. Okay. Any questions before we move to the next topic?
Hi, Nikhila.
Hello.
So, Nikhila, I have one kind of general question. Let's example in Java, right, or some other technology, we can develop one a small functionality like login page. We can deploy in some server, right? So others can use, right? So in Pega, most of the internet application that I know, but
Others means who? Others means other developers or
publicly,
what
like
exactly?
not developer, anybody. Like if you deploy it in server, right? Like even you can use that or some other person.
I mean, like you're saying it, you put it on the internet.
Correct.
Pega applications can also be kept on the internet. I told you that booking.com is an internet application. You can keep
Yeah,
it.
you
Who said we cannot keep it? Just that There is more business to process in the background, so we use Pega for back end application more than front end application.
Yeah, that I understood, but still we can do, right? If you want to develop some small application kind of things, we wanted to deploy,
You
we can.
can do it, just that Pega is an expensive tool, and the place where you use it should be worthy of it, right? So in the front end, if I use it, there is not much case management involved there. What is the point in using Pega there? So that is the reason we use Pega in the offline. I mean, like in the back end applications, they are on the internet, but you can 100% use it to build internet applications as well.
Okay.
Jashwant, no assignments as of now. Assignment is only to go through the previous topics so that we can have some mock kind of thing in the upcoming sessions. Only after we start the practicals, we'll have hands-on assignments. We'll start practicals mostly from this Sunday or from the next Friday. Okay. Now, till now, we were speaking about rule sets, right? Now, whenever I say a rule set, I say it's a collection of rules. Now, what is a rule? Rule means a piece of code that you execute. We call them as rules in Pega. Okay. Same question you can even expect in the interviews. If they ask you what is a rule in Pega, rule means it's just a piece of code that you can execute. Function is a rule. Method is a rule. Validation is the rule. Report is a rule. Flow is a rule. Rules means the code that you can execute is a rule. Is operator ID a rule? No. Access group a rule? No. They're all data instances. They're just stored in the database. Okay, just for validation purpose, we check them. Okay, rule is different. Rule means you put some piece of code and that will run and give you some output. So rule set is a collection of rules in Pega. Now similarly, we have class concept in Pega. Those who know Java, you should have been aware of class, right? Class. Class is just a collection of rules.
Is it
So,
safe to say rules are functions of class?
no, rules can be anything, not necessarily a function. It can be a report, it can be a validation, it can be a flow. So there are different types of rules in Pega. So rule means basically something that is executable. You run it, you give some input and get some output. That is a rule in Pega. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, see, what is an application in Pega? Application in Pega is a collection of rule sets. Now, what is a rule set? It's basically a collection of rules. Excuse me. Similarly, we have a concept called as class. Everything that you see with a leaf icon is a class. So this is a class. Debit card is a class. Loan is a class. E-claim request is a class. Like that, we have lots and lots of classes in Pega, built-in classes. Now, what is a class again? If you say a class is nothing but collection of rules only, they have lot of rules under them like this. They have lot of rules under them. So class means a collection of rules. Rule set means a collection of rules. So the definition of class and rule set remains the same. Rule set means you can see it has 29 rules inside it. And what is the class? You just saw we have lot of rules under it like this. UI rules means screens, technical rules some logics, security rules, reporting rules, flows, integration rules, decision rules. So class is a collection of rules. Rule set is also a collection of rules. Okay. What is the difference between them? The difference is the main purpose of a rule set is for packaging and deployment. Okay. Suppose as a part of registration, okay, I created a new class, okay, called as registration. Okay. My colleague, as a part of login screen, hey, just assume, okay, we don't create like this so many classes in real time. Just for your assumption, I'm saying. Let's assume that my colleague created a new class called as login screen. Okay. Now let's assume that another colleague created a new class called as payment. Okay, like this, multiple classes are created. Okay, now there is a chance that when we are planning to deploy the code, okay, means my coding is completed. I want to move the code to QA, UAT, or production for testing. Okay, now there is a chance that I will forget the class. Okay, and I'll just deploy the rest of the code. It is possible. Okay, you can forget the class and you can deploy the rest of the code. Now what will happen? The code will not execute. Why? Because under the class only code will be there. Whenever you create a new rule in Pega, it is always under the class. Under the class only rules will be created. See, they're asking you applies to. Applies to means class name. Under which class you want to create? Under debit card class, or under loan class, or under e-claim request class. Here, debit, e-claim, loan. So every rule we create in Pega is always under a class. Now, when you deploy the code, there is a chance you'll forget the class and you'll deploy the code, and the rules will become orphans. They don't have their parent class, so they will not execute. So there is a chance like that. Not only classes, there are various things in Pega, okay, which we may forget while deploying. Okay, we have something called as operator IDs, access groups. We have something called as dynamic system settings. Like this, there are many things in Pega which we may forget while deploying. So what Pega does is, to make sure that you are not missing anything, they use rule sets for packaging and deployment. How can rule set make sure that you don't forget this operator IDs, access groups, classes, and DSS and all these things? How can rule set make sure that? See, whenever we create a new rule in Pega, you always mention two things. One is your class name and one is your rule set. Okay. So when you deploy the code, you have to deploy the rule set, right? You can't forget a rule set. So when you deploy the rule set, automatically this class, this operator IDs, access groups, all of things will get deployed. See, whenever I create an operator ID in Pega, there is a rule set at the top, RS. You have to map it. Okay, I forgot to map. You have to map your rule set here, like this. Whenever I create an access group in here, we map a rule set. So which means if I deploy this rule set, automatically my operator IDs, my access groups, my classes, everything will be deployed. There is no chance of missing them. There's no chance of losing them. So the code will work as expected even after deployment. So the main purpose of a rule set is for packaging and deployment. Okay. So whereas if you just only have classes, you don't have rule sets, what will happen? I created some rules. I forgot to deploy the class. The rules will not execute. I created some operator IDs and access groups. I forgot to deploy them. People will not be able to log in and access the application. Right? So it is difficult for a human brain to remember all the things all the time. Sometimes we may miss. So what we do is better to tag everything to a rule set. So when you create a rule, please tag them to a rule set. So when you deploy the rule set, all will get deployed and there is no chance of missing anything. Okay. Class versus rule set difference is very important interview question. Class is a collection of rules. Rule set is also a collection of rules. Then why do we need two? The reason is rule set is mainly used for packaging and deployment. So when you deploy, all the things which are present in the rule set will get deployed. Okay, that is the main reason we use rule sets. And the other thing is backup copy, because you have versions, you always have a backup copy. Okay, now this is a class. Leaf icon indicates it's a class. Okay, so what is a class in Pega? Class is just a collection of rules. Okay, class means it's a collection of rules. We put some rules under the application under the classes. Okay, under the classes we'll put the rules. So if you take like this, let's say Paytm is an application. Okay, now you know that one application is just made up of multiple rule sets, right? So in Paytm you have rule set 1, rule set 2, and so on and on. Now, under this rule sets, what do you have? You will have classes and rules. Under this rule set, what will I have? I will have classes and rules. Okay. So like this, we build an application in Pega. First, you create a rule called as application. Under that, you create something called as rule sets. Under rule sets, you create classes and you put your rules under them. This is the sequence that we follow while creating a new application in Pega. Okay. Application rule, rule sets, then you create class. Under the class, you create rules. Now, what is a rule? Any piece of code that you execute is a rule. Like rule can be a function, rule can be a report, rule can be a validation, okay, rule can be a flow diagram, and so on and on. It can be anything. Anything that executes is a rule in Pega. Any questions so far?
Is class itself a rule?
Yes, class itself is a rule.
Then is class executable?
It is, but you don't actually trigger it. You only trigger the rules under them,
Okay.
but it is also a rule. Okay. Now this is
Nikhila,
almost the question that yeah.
class is not a data instance, not will come under data instance.
So class comes under rule only. It doesn't come under data instance. Although the process of deploying is little different, it is also a rule because it contains a lot of rules under it. At a high level, it is also a rule in Pega. If you have Pega knowledge, maybe you think it as a data instance because we push the pizza dynasty keys and all. But generally,
Correct.
it also comes as a rule in Pega.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is the difference between class versus rule set, which is important from interview point of view. See, rule set contains both classes and data instances, whereas class contains only rules. Okay, and one more thing is basically, uh, generally, I mean, like in real time, if you speak, we doesn't consider a class as a rule set or a data instance. Okay, we just say that class is like a container; it contains rules under it. Okay, but just for your understanding, I said it's a rule, but ideally speaking, I don't want to confuse you, so I just gave a definition, but I don't want somebody to come back and say, no, Nikhila, it is not this, and say it's a container, okay, which contains rules in it, okay. So it's neither a data instance nor a rule actually, but I don't want to confuse you, so I said you consider it as a rule, okay. So class contains rules under it. Now, what does rule set contain? Rule set contains both rules and data instances. Now, what do you mean by data instance? Operators, access groups, roles, privileges, work baskets, all these are data instances. Okay. So rule set contains both rules and data instances. Class contains only rule sets under it. And the main purpose of rule set is packaging and deploying the code. Okay. That is the main usage of a rule set. So under a class, rule set will not be there. Under a rule set, class will be there. Okay, just a second, guys. Just a second. Now moving ahead, just giving you an example of classes. So if you just browse Paytm, okay, go and search as Paytm in Google, you will see something like this. Okay, in Paytm you can book movie tickets, train tickets, flight tickets, do a mobile recharge, bus tickets, and electricity bill payment. So if you are building Paytm in Pega, okay, so you have to build a class called as movie tickets, train tickets, flight tickets, and so on. So why should I build so many classes? Because every class means one entire end-to-end workflow. See, movie ticket workflow is different, right? In movie ticket, you will go, you will search the movie, you will search by language, then you will select the seat, then you will make the payment. Whereas in train ticket, it is different. You give the source and destination locations, you give the type of ticket like Tatkal or XYZ things. You select the type of seat, third AC, second AC, first AC, whatever it is, and then you book the ticket. So the screens, the workflow versus here is all different. So we need a separate class for this, and so on. And you put the corresponding rules under the class. So like this, we build classes in Pega. Depending upon the requirement, you analyze whether you need a class for this or not, and we create classes like this in Pega. And under this class, you will be creating rules to process them. Okay, all the rules required for movie ticket booking you will put under movie ticket class. All the rules required for mobile recharge you will put under recharge class. So first we will create classes in Pega. Under that you will put your rules. Okay, so like I have mentioned here, first you need to build an application. Under that you create a rule set. Now under a rule set you create a class. Now under the class you will be creating the rules. This is the sequence we follow. Okay, so we'll discuss the rest of the things tomorrow, guys. I don't want to dive deep into work objects and all that, which will be a little overload for you. So for today, just try to understand the difference between class, rule set, rules, and how do you determine like this should be a class. Now, if you take any banking example, okay, if you take any banking example, in the banking example, I can have loan as one class. I can have debit card as one class. I can have new account creation as another class. Okay, like this you can have separate classes depending upon separate workflows. Now can I directly build all these things? No. First you create an application. Okay, let's say the application name is HDFC Bank. Now under this application you create some rule sets. Okay, now under this rule set you create some classes like loan, okay, new account, like this. Okay, now under these classes you create all your rules. That's how we build the things in Pega. Okay, just try to understand it theoretically. We'll dive deep more once we start the practicals. So any questions so far?
Nikhila, one question. When you were creating a new rule and you were saving the rule set to one of the rule set versions, you chose something like no branch. What is that?
We'll talk about branches later.
Okay, okay.
We'll talk about it.
Nikhil, these class
Hmm.
groups also comes under rule set.
Which one?
Class group.
A class itself is defined as class group, right? We'll talk about class groups and all in the next session.
Okay.
Just a class itself is configured as a class group. So end of the day, it is a class only. It is not different. It's a configuration under the class that you do to share some tables. We'll talk about it in the next session.
Yeah,
Guys,
hi
I know
Nikhil.
that some of you have knowledge of Pega, but asking questions on something which is not yet completed would confuse others in the session. Okay, we are going to talk about inheritance, class groups, and all these things in detail in the later sessions. I mean, like maybe tomorrow or day after, it will be completed. Okay.
I have a question, Nikhila. What is the difference between the built-on application and component? Both can be reused, right?
See, built-in application means either you have to buy it from Pega Systems and you put it as a built-in application, or you build your own application and you put it. Now, in case of built-in application, it's a whole application. Means, like, say for example, like like we spoke about. Let's say for example, Instagram. Okay, just an example. Let's assume that Instagram was built on Facebook. Now, what do you get from Facebook? You get how to message, you get how to post, how to put status, how to put videos, how to put ads, all these things, all the functionality of Facebook, Instagram can use it. So, Facebook itself is one end to end application, right? Facebook itself is an end to end application. It was a whole application, right? Facebook existed or Facebook can be used without Facebook existed or Facebook was used or can be used without Instagram, right? Instagram is just built on top of Facebook, just an add on. You get some add ons from Instagram, right? Whereas, but Facebook itself was one end to end application. It was able to execute on its own. No, nothing else was needed, right? So that is a built on application. Whereas a component means, suppose Instagram bought a new feature from Pega systems. That feature was Reels. Okay, let's assume that Reels is a component. Now, Reels is a component. Let's assume that Instagram has bought this component and they're using it. Similarly, Reels can be used by, let's assume that Reels can be used by Insta, Reels can be used by WhatsApp or YouTube, and Reels can be used by many other applications. So, Reels is a component. Can Reels be used as a standalone? No. Either in Insta you have to use a Reel, or in YouTube you have to use a Reel. Reel is just a small functionality. Okay, you cannot use a Reel as its own. There is no app called as Reel, or I can't create a Reel on its own. Either I go to Insta and create a Reel, or I go to YouTube and create a Reel. Whereas this is built on application, this is a component. Components, they can't work on its own. Standalone, they can't work. You have to embed it into some application, then use it. This Facebook is a built on application. They can work on their own, they can live on, they can exist their own. No need to tag them to some application to use them. Okay, do you get the difference now?
Yes, Nikhila, clear.
Okay, guys, super.
There's one small question. Can we create a rule set without creating a rules? Means, are we going in by the hierarchy like
It
application
is,
rule set?
you are just asking me like this: can I create a folder without keeping documents in it? Rule set is a
Oh,
folder. You put the
oh,
documents or you don't put the documents is your choice.
oh, oh.
Okay. Okay, guys. It being a working day, let's wrap up the session here. Any questions? Feel free to ask me in tomorrow's session, and I'll create the WhatsApp group on this Sunday. So from then onwards, you can all work together, do assignments, and start learning together. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. See you in the next session. Have a nice day. Bye bye.